Conduct in the City Council chambers. Rules of decorum for the public. Members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of loud, threatening, or abusive language, clapping, whistling, stamping of feet, or other acts which disturb, disrupt, impede, or otherwise render the orderly conduct of the city meeting infeasible. A member of the audience engaging in any such conduct shall, at the discretion of the presiding officer or a majority of the city council, be subject to ejection from the meeting per Government Code Section 54954.3C. Removal from the council chambers. Any person who commits the following acts in respect to a meeting of the city shall be removed from the council chambers per Government Code Section 54954.3C. A, disorderly, contemptuous, or insolent behavior towards the city council or any member thereof, tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. A breach of peace, boisterous conduct, or violent disturbance, tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. Disobedience of any lawful order from the mayor, which shall include an order to be seated or to refrain from addressing the city council, and any other unlawful interference with the due and orderly course of said meeting. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regularly Scheduled Meeting for Tuesday, June the 18th, 2024. City of Taft Council meetings are being held in person with full capacity seating and are live streamed at www.youtube.com/user/City of Taft. Public comment can be made in person and also can be received per the following. Written comments may be dropped off in the drop box in front of City Hall. Comments may be emailed to the city clerk at cityclerk@cityoftaft.org. They may also be made by phone to the city clerk's office at 661-763-1222. Public comments will be accepted up until 5 p.m. the day of the meeting, and all comments received will be read into the record. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by myself, followed by an invocation from Sean Piper. If you join us, please. Salute and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, you were provided the wrong information.
Joey, shame on me. I saw you
Not
and
a
even
problem.
said hello.
Let's bow our heads. God, we're so thankful for an opportunity to come before you, Lord, and just pray. We pray for our community, especially for those ones at this time who are having difficult times making ends meet. So, God, thank you for meetings and times that we get together and plan. And we pray the blessings of God to open up new businesses, to create more opportunities. And God, we're so thankful to you. We know you're such a good God. So we pray you bless this in Jesus' name. Everybody said,
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Joey. Get in the groove and don't want to misread something. Shame on me. Okay. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Knorr?
Here.
Sorry about that. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer?
Here.
Councilmember Bryant?
Here.
Councilmember Waldrop?
Here.
And Councilmember Trevera is absent with notice.
All right. Thank you very much. First item on this evening's agenda is citizen request public comments. Comments are to be received as stated in the above policy. This is the time and place for the general public to address the City Council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit comments to 5 minutes. All right, thank you very much. Dr. Orrin, I have a comment that was sent in via email. I am going to read that first, and then you will be next up. All right. This is one of the ways you can have a comment be read into the record in the city of Taft. So this person decided to take advantage of it. And it says, Yvette, thank you for putting this before the city council. Members of the council, I believe it is imperative that the business owners and residents of Taft are part of the conversation addressing the escalation in break-ins, thefts, and fires confronting Taft and the surrounding areas. It has been brought to my attention that our emergency services are doing their jobs only to have the court system fail to do theirs by allowing those arrested for the above-mentioned acts to be released. We, the people, cannot allow this to continue. Perhaps if we have an open discussion, we can come to some solution to eliminate those committing the crimes and to make it clear that Taft is not where they, the vandals, want to be. I thank the City Council and all involved for your time. John Gallagher, Managing Partner, GG Storage LLC, the Storage Bin. Next up, Dr. Orrin. In person.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. I have a couple things I'd like to bring before you. The first is our thanks from the Chamber on behalf of our city for your donation to the Fund the Fireworks. We appreciate very much that you hold that dear to you to the point that you were giving us $5,000, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. This has been a tough year for Taft. It's been a tough year for business. It's been a tough year in the oil patch. And sometimes those hard decisions result in donations just not being able to be made. We appreciate that you were able to do that. And we know that there are many people in the oil patch who are normally very forthcoming that just don't feel they can do it this year. And we understand that. What that means, though, that is average folks in homeland areas right now, sitting in front of their TVs at some point. You know, if everybody that had a family in Taft gave $1, there'd be no problem having the fireworks. And sometimes people just forget because we've been spoiled by the oil companies and many corporations here in town, many businesses. And now the rubber's kind of meeting the road. So I just want to make it very public that we will have fireworks, but we may not have the spectacular fireworks that we have had in previous years. So if you we encourage you to find a place to give us some money, frankly, at the Chamber. There will be a Fund the Fireworks activity going on with the Taft High basketball. We've already had the football players and the cheerleaders who have given their time to stand on the street corner and ask for donations, and they've been very successful, but that will happen again this Friday. We're hoping that our firemen can take some time away from fighting fires. We were standing, a couple of weeks ago, we were standing at the corner and waiting for them, hoping that they would be driving their big, pretty new engine into our parking lot, because that causes all a stir. People want to see the fire engine and so forth. And as they were approaching, we watched them go by, and because fighting a fire. That happened to all three of the fire trucks from our Station 21 on one Friday. So we know that things have been very active for them. But I just want to put in a plug for the fireworks. It's going to be spectacular, we hope, but we hope that people will take advantage of the chance to just give whatever. If it's coins in your ashtray, help us with that. So that's the first thing I'm here to talk about. The second thing is this article in the Driller. Taft DMV office will be open only 2 days a week. What was very interesting about the article, this is the Driller's article. I read an article from another newspaper that stated that in the interest of becoming more efficient, the motor vehicles offices in our county would be going to just 2 days, or I think they actually said that in the rural areas would be going to 2 days. I don't know how many areas are affected by this, but I know that you realize that this effect in Taft is going to be huge. So here I am. We've got a kind of a double whammy going here because our advocacy for the county is an empty chair right now. People call me and say, okay, you need to call David Couch because he was the best supervisor we've ever had in recent history, and he can just work for us. And I explained to them that David Couch currently has the most square mileage of any supervisor on the Board of Supervisors, and he's also the head guy on this Board of Supervisors, so he's already got a job. Although I think that was a good idea. But at this point, we are wondering who is the advocacy people for Taft when it comes to things. You are standing between us and the county. The county stands between us and the state. We have no county rep. So our task is, to whom do we take this issue? And what do we as citizens do? What can you as a council do? Because we clearly are not represented now. And I'm bringing this to you because it has been brought to me many times. People can pick up the phone and call and complain to me very easily. And I feel some kind of a burden to bring that to you. So that's my second issue. All right. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for coming before the council, as always, Kathy. All right. Item number 2, council statements, non-action. Councilman Waldrop, begin with you this evening, sir.
I have none tonight, thank you, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kathy, thank you for letting us know when the Fun the Fireworks date is. It's going to be this Friday, the 21st?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. This Friday, the 21st, at the corner of Kern and 4th,
Yes.
from 9 to noon?
Yes.
9 to noon, good. It's going to be hot, so come out there and support those kids. I really was going to just reiterate what Kathy said. So honestly, if you've got $10 that you would otherwise spend at Starbucks, send it to the chamber. You guys accept donations online at taftchamber.org? That's a fantastic thing. You can walk right in the door. They have a mail slot. You can hand it to Kathy or to Faith. $10 will go a long way, folks. I mean, if you're talking a $20,000 to $25,000 cost for our show, and we're still short roughly probably 15 grand, somewhere in that neighborhood,
Oh, yes.
at least. You know, there's 20,000 people roughly in the greater Taft area, Taft and the outskirts, who all benefit and enjoy from this show. I would just encourage you, find $5, find $10. Skip that Happy Meal, hand it to the chamber, because you're going to be able to enjoy this show with your family, all your best friends around town. So I know we're not going to meet before we get to, well, assuming we pass the item on the agenda here later tonight, so I want to wish a happy Independence Day to everybody out there. I hope everyone takes a minute to reflect on the liberties and the blessings that we have as U.S. citizens, even as tough as the times are today, economically, specifically here locally, socially, across the world, and all the way down into Taft. I hope folks realize that even despite that, who's got it better than us? I don't think a lot of folks do. Could it be better here? Absolutely. Are there better times ahead? Absolutely, and that's why we're up here working. But Kathy, I did have this isn't necessarily a question, maybe more rhetorical. So in the name of efficiency for the DMV, are they reducing staffing to 2 days a week? In the name of cost efficiency? I mean, and I work in government. This is a government agency. We all know that government employment in general is an expensive and costly endeavor. So is the efficiency more so to lessen the workload while still keeping those folks employed? And I'm no means saying, hey, fire those people. You don't need them now. I don't want that either, because that's not a good thing. To me, it sounds like you're passing the buck to put less burden on the people who you have there while not reducing the number of people you have there and making it harder on everyday citizens who may not be computer savvy. Yes, you can do a lot of this stuff online. You can renew your driver's license, renew your registration. You can do all of this online if you know how to get past the start button. And a lot of folks, unfortunately, don't. Is there a mechanism in place, despite the reduction in hours, to then teach these folks who don't know how to do it? Or is it going to be incumbent upon family members or these folks to go to YouTube and figure out how to do it? That's not going to happen either, folks. And so I agree, and thank you for bringing that to our attention and asking for us to advocate, and I look forward to doing that. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councilman Bryant was right on all that the council had to mention on there. The DMV is kind of strange. It all comes from Sacramento. Yes, we are short one supervisor here, but I know they have a rep, but they don't have a, per se, a man in charge. But I don't know if maybe Shannon Grove could be a help. I know Vince Bong is no longer our assemblyman, so that kind of puts another strike against us as far as getting more help. But I don't, anybody, I guess there's an Alpha staff still there that we can get a hold of that maybe will help to get word to Sacramento about our city. And I'm sure there's statistics there showing how much volume of people going to DMV, get their licenses and driver, all that stuff. I'm sure there's got to be statistics there, but arbitrarily for Sacramento just to close it down without really a good excuse, it just don't make sense. And Sacramento don't make sense. I'd like to wish everybody a very happy 4th of July. We will be having, we don't have no council meeting for next month for the first week, but it's our founding fathers set that up for us to celebrate every year with fireworks. And that time they used cannons too, but we don't do that now nowadays. But to celebrate our victory and our freedom that we have today, and I encourage people too is to go ahead and support these different fireworks stands out there that are being put up by the different nonprofits, because all of them do good, helping our youth. The money goes there. It's a great deal for them to support the fireworks stands, and also that we are short, according to Kathy and what we hear on the news. If you have a chance, help out. $1 goes a long way. Everybody put $1 in, we're all good to go. But this is a time that we need help in our town, because we need to perpetuate our freedom every year in our city. And I thank the chamber for keeping that up and putting it on. And I appreciate all the schools that are participating and helping out, and the fire department out there helping out, and our citizens out there donating. It's all part of our freedom and our heritage here in our town. Is that when we get the fireworks, just be careful about how you light them. Don't be careful. Don't use too young kids out there lighting them, playing with them, but to use the right receiver for there to light them and get away, so you don't get hurt or anybody around you. Another thing too is I know our council meetings televised and stuff, and a lot of people I know watches it on TV. But I like to encourage the people to come to the meetings and speak about things. Just say hi. If anything, that you're here and recognize what's going on. We like to hear what's good, things about us, the bad things about us, and anything in between, because it helps us our government and govern our city, to hear other citizens. Because wherever you say good, better, different, you represent a certain amount of people thinking the same thing. And we could use good constructive criticism, what's happening here, and some things that we can't help, some things that we can do or we don't see, don't know about. It opens our eyes a little bit better, and you get better, quicker reaction, and get things done a little quicker that way in government. But I just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. Be careful, and schools, I believe, are out, so watch out for our young ones out there. And thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Well, you know what? That's what's going on, isn't it? We will not have a city council meeting at the beginning of July. We will be going dark on that day. So, yes, fireworks are important. Fireworks also cause fires if we're not careful. There's a lot of dry fuel around here. Dr. Warren was talking about the fact that how ironic that she was going to enlist the help and the influence of the fine men and women who take care of the firefighting duties around here, but they weren't able to do that because they had to go fight a fire. And we've had too much of that around here. So enjoy the 4th of July. Understand what it's all about. Keep people safe. We don't want anybody burned, and we don't want to start any fires. So beyond that, regarding the DMV, I was shocked to hear about the closure of 3 of the days, and I'll tell you that these things don't happen all at once. It was incrementally, because some time ago, you used to be able to go to the DMV right here in the city of Taft and take care of anything related to the DMV. Then all of a sudden, sometime back, and if you don't have a business, you didn't know it, they said, well, we're not going to handle business matters. So if it's a business matter, commercial vehicles, whatnot, you got to go to Bakersfield. That's all part of the Go Green, I guess, the Green New Deal, cut down on emissions. So yeah, you had to go to Bakersfield. So this is happening incrementally. Now, whether or not there's a reduction of staff component to that, that's a good question. It seems like all we do in the state of California is grow government. We never shrink government. Somebody said a long time ago, no matter what religion you are, if you are successful in becoming a government agency, then you truly will have everlasting life. So I'll leave you with that note. Next up, department reports, item number 3. We have a department report from Chief Damon McMinn. I'm going to give you a moment to get up to that mic, sir.
Apologize for the attire. I too will be giving on Friday because I could miss a couple Happy Meals. So, yes, we do need to donate to our fireworks. Also, to comment a little bit on the John from Storage bin. Had a very good conversation with that guy. Very nice man. Love his thoughts. And things are in the weeds. That's all I can say. And we also have helped out with doing extra patrol in and out of there during the evening and trying to slow the theft down. And we think we have a pretty good handle on it. So that'll come out later.
All right.
I'm here for the monthly report for the month of May. And hello, everyone, just so I get that out of the way, sorry. And for the month of May, our total incidents were 969. Our calls for service were 438. Our officer-initiated incidents are 531. We had 51 traffic stops, total cases written of 143, total misdemeanor and felony arrest of 60, felony arrest of 16, and of course misdemeanor arrests of what appears to be 31. I also want to add to this that I'm impressed with the troops right now. If you take a look at those numbers, we are too short. We have one individual who's doing backgrounds who's off for an indefinite amount of time, and we have another individual that just left our service and has gone on to other pastures at Cal State. So we also have individuals that are looking to come here, so we should hoping within 6 to 8 months we'll be back to full staff.
All right. Those are very impressive numbers if you were fully staffed, but to do it short staffed, that's really doing something.
Very
So,
impressed with the troops, sir. Very
right.
impressed.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thanks for coming before the council.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, item number 4, city manager statements.
Good evening. No statement this evening.
Other than the fact that you're not Craig Jones, are you? All right, but you are Lon Boyer, and we're glad to have you here, Lon. Item number 5, city attorney statements.
Also not Craig Jones, but no statement.
No. Jason, thank you very much, sir. All right. Item number 6, future agenda requests this evening, gentlemen.
None here.
Seeing none. All right, then. We shall move on to the consent calendar, items 7 through 15. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none. Those items are, item number 7 is the minutes for the June 4th, 2024 regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 8 is the payment of bills, some $110,000. Item number 9, Transportation Development Act Funds Annual Audit, fiscal year 2018-2019. Recommendation is a motion to receive and file the City of Taft Transportation Development Act Funds Annual Audit for fiscal year 2018-2019 and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Item number 10, updating and establishing user and regulatory fees. The recommendation is to direct staff to apply the regional cost inflation factor of 3.48% and proceed with the fiscal year 2024-2025 fee schedule as presented, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Item number 11 is the monthly report for Kern County Fire Station number 21 for May 2024. Recommendation here is to receive and file the monthly report for May 2024 from Kern County Fire Station number 21, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Item number 12, Landscape and Lighting Maintenance District number 1 Engineers Report. Recommendation is motion to receive the 2024-2025 Engineers Report for Landscape Maintenance District number 1 and adopt a resolution entitled Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft declaring its intention to review the improvements and fees for the Landscape and Lighting Maintenance District number 1 and set the public hearing for July 16th, 2024, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15061B3 of the CEQA guidelines. Item 13, Professional Services Agreement with Precision Civil Engineering, Inc. to complete the City of Taft Housing Element Update 2023-2031 and prepare pre-approved accessory dwelling unit plans. Recommendation is a motion to enter into a professional services agreement with Precision Civil Engineering Incorporated for the completion of the Housing Element Update 2023 through 2031 and to develop pre-approved accessory dwelling unit, ADUs, plans in an amount not to exceed $59,000, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15061B3. Item 14 is approval of Special Event Permit 2024-08 for the Taft Chamber of Commerce to host the fireworks show on Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. Recommendation is a motion to approve a resolution entitled, A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving Special Event Permit number 2024-08 by the Taft Chamber of Commerce to host the fireworks show along the rails to trails between 2nd and 10th Streets on Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15061B3 of the CEQA guidelines. Lastly, item 15 is the cancellation of the July 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting. The recommendation is a motion to approve the cancellation of the July 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting if there is a lack of business, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Does any council member wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar? I would like to remove item number 13, please. If there are no others, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, and 15.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop?
Yes.
And Mayor Noor.
Yes, that passed on a 4-0 vote. Thank you all very much. Moving on to item 13. Assistant City Manager Ron Boyer.
Absolutely. So on December 12, 2023, the city of Taft received an award letter from Regional Early Action Planning, or REAP grant, from the Kern Council of Governments, known as KernCog, in the amount of $73,165.83. with the purpose of aiding the city in completing its housing element update 2023 to 2031. On January 16th, 2024, the City Council approved a professional services agreement with Precision Engineering, PCE, to complete the housing element, conduct stakeholder interviews, hold community workshops, and produce a complete draft element for review by the State Department of Housing and Community Development, as HCD. The draft element is complete and out for an informal review by HCD and public review until mid-July 2024. These tasks will exhaust the original $73,153.50 budget. The planning director recommends the City Council review and approve the attached scope of work and associated costs to complete the housing element. The reviews by HCD can take 2 to 3 months for each review. The informal review during the public review will help expedite this process. The city had approved a $50,000 contingency budget just for this use. A supplemental pre-approved accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, plans project is also recommended and included in the attached scope of work. PCE has worked with other Central Valley cities to develop such plans, with some off-the-shelf plans available that should reduce cost. It is recommended to approve 3 ADU square footage plan types to provide more options for Taft property owners. The additional project will increase the overall project cost to not exceed $59,000, of which $50,000 is currently budgeted.
Thank you very much, Lon. Mr. Boyer. All right. The recommended action here is 1, a motion to enter into a professional services agreement with Precision Civil Engineering Incorporated for the completion of the housing element update 2023 through 2031, and to develop pre-approved accessory dwelling unit ADU plans in an amount not to exceed $59,000.
So moved.
I'll second that motion. So we have a motion and a second. Regarding further discussion,
Defer to you, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead.
since you moved,
I will
you're up.
defer to you, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead.
All right. I will tell you, in reading this, and when one considers accessory dwelling units, there are a great many questions that come to mind. When you think about the size of your own lot, no matter where you live, and you think, well, there's an opportunity for me to build a rental house right back there behind my house, between where I grow daffodils and my swimming pool. That's perfect. Well, that's not exactly how it all works. So I reached out to Mark Staples, our planning director, and a very competent individual to help us understand complex issues. And I didn't give him a great deal of time, but that's all right. He seized the moment, and he is here to help us understand some of the complexities of what we are considering tonight. So, Mark, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor Knorr and fellow members of the City Council. Of the items on this item here, specifically the accessory dwelling units, as we discussed earlier when you reached out to me, the state of California, in the dozens of bills they passed related to housing, one this past October was for every city to develop some sort of accessory dwelling unit, or get used to the acronym ADU program. And so that's what we're doing here, and the consultant we're working with, Precision Civil Engineering, has worked with a number of Central Valley cities in developing it. And I believe in front of you is the one from the city of Kerman. And if you see, they completed that in November of 2022, a full year before the state law went into effect. Or actually, it doesn't go into effect till January 25, but when it was signed last year. And even City of Clovis, I think, had finished theirs about a year earlier. I've seen some examples of theirs. Their plan actually come to fruition. A number of the Old Town areas, similar to Taft, where you have these alleyways in our backyards that provide a off-street access to have these accessory units. You could tuck your parking back there forward, although parking's not absolutely required. That's one rule the state stipulated, but having these pre-approved plans helps expedite the process a little bit, hopefully, and the cost of it, of searching for an architect or engineer to put the plans together. Because this is new construction, even though it's only 300 to 800 square feet, you still need to get somebody to draw up those plans, structural calculations, foundation plans, the roof trusses, getting all that as part of the submittal package, like a new house has to be put together. But this is one way to help speed up that initial process of the design by providing some template ADU plans, and you can put the stucco, siding, and colors that match your main home. And we're hoping that this will just add a couple more units to the city, and especially with the way a lot of our lots are laid out, like I said, with that alleyway access on the backside of these lots. It's a easy way to add to your home. You can do it attached, it can be detached, but I see the opportunity here. It hasn't been going gangbusters. It's not going to save the state when it comes to the housing crisis, but it does provide another housing unit for rental, for family, rent to anybody else. We have Taft College, Till students, whoever it may be locally for us, but it's another way to have another simple rental unit in our single-family properties here in Taft.
So it's a way that the state modified the density of residential areas. The state did that. The state basically told us all that we had to do that. So they didn't do it to us. They just told us we had to do it, right?
The latest idea to get more housing units, yes.
Yes. So to be clear to everybody out there in TV land, we used to call them mother-in-law homes, or
Granny
perhaps a pool house back by the pool or something like that. A converted detached garage could be an accessory dwelling unit. And the intent here, first off, is we have to comply with the requirements of the state. And what the state's trying to do is create a way to come up with affordable housing. Affordable housing in the state of California is on the endangered species list, somewhere between kit foxes and blunt-nosed leopard lizards. Affordable housing is like right there in between those. And so this is one of their ways of trying to make that happen. But there are still setback requirements that have to be adhered to. And then, Mark, I don't know, because we talked about this issue with everything going electrical. Okay, well, if tomorrow everybody on a block got an electric hot water heater, an electric cooktop, and an electric heater, and all the electric stuff that you got to get, well, I'd be willing to bet you the infrastructure providing electricity to that block would blow up. Okay, so it's not going to handle the load. So then when one thinks about accessory dwelling units, and you think about the water meter feeding a lot, which is a household, which is now potentially going to be two households, as well as the sewer accepting the waste of now two households, and on and on and on. Is there going to be a point in time, if enough people take this up, where the infrastructure capacity is going to be a problem? Potentially it could be, because I dare say that throughout our neighborhoods, not every single bit of infrastructure is rated at twice its current usage rate.
That would be correct. We are the sewer purveyor here in the city, and I'm confident Public Works would be monitoring that at our wastewater treatment plant, and then West Kern Water would be tracking that with all the water bills. You're not required to have separate meters, but that more extra water and effluent will be measured somewhere, and we'll know what the impact is if we get a lot of these permits pulled for this. I don't anticipate a lot of permits being pulled. I welcome them, but it is new construction. There are some distinct costs involved. I got spooked a little bit when I've been in some other planning conferences where the cost for like a 500 square foot ADU in Southern or Northern California costs like $150,000. You know, it just isn't. It's smaller, but it's not that much cheaper. So there's that end and the utility end as well.
That's the same part of California. I read a report about housing for homeless, vagrancies and whatnot. And there are places down in Los Angeles where they built those for right at $700,000 a unit, and they were proud of it. So, yeah, I mean, different strokes for different folks. But just so everybody understands out there, do not make the assumption that, hey, I just heard I can build an apartment in my backyard, I'm gonna get started on it. The process is still, they have to come down here. They have to come to the planning department. They have to look at the specifics of their lot. There's a certain percentage of a lot that can be covered by roof. Is that not correct?
That's correct. There's a lot coverage limit. And you mentioned setbacks earlier. There was some allowance given to these being a little closer to property lines than typical, but it's still just 4 feet is as close as they could get to like a rear or side property line. Yeah, sorry, I'm rambling.
No, that's no problem. So in the end, we know why we're having to do this. We understand the intent. It's not a free pass. There are still codes and there are still laws that have to be adhered to, and there's still a process.
And we'll, as part of that process, what I'm intending to do with this is hopefully have the Economic Development Committee, since it's a formed committee, possibly be the jury on which floor plans we go with. Part of the process that Precision Civil Engineering has explained to me is there is a bit of a portfolio of units of what are you looking at size-wise, and it could be somewhat molded to what would fit best for our lots here in Taft. So what better jury than the Economic Development Committee meeting before it comes to the council for a final review and approval. So there's still a process on this. This is merely getting the Precision moving with this, especially since we're now gonna be waiting for the state to review our housing element. We'll keep them busy on this ADU project and work with all of you to get it how it works best for Taft.
Take advantage of the opportunity. All right, well, thank you very much. I'm gonna open the floor to questions for Mark if anybody has additional questions.
I have a couple, Mr. Mayor. Mark, so the update to the general plan, or to the housing element, is that just the ADU, or is this part of that update and there's a larger update going on?
So to help with the math for everybody, we had that 50,000 set aside. We're spending 30, or budgeting 30 to finish the housing element, which will be going through this review process with the state. Because it's probably, it's taken between 2 to 5 rounds of review with the state to get these where they're looking for, whatever themes or things they're looking for in these housing elements. So that's revision time by the consultants. We're probably gonna have maybe one more public meeting for folks, just so it's away from the decision makers, and welcome people to review and comment on this. Especially if they don't comment during this period that we have it open for public review. So that's gonna spend that first 30. So with that other 20, there was an opportunity to utilize that for this ADU project.
Perfect. Now, in the staff report, it mentioned a grant of about $73,000.
Correct.
So that is already water under the bridge and spent?
We've exhausted that with the
Okay.
document. It kept growing and growing. It's very good analysis, but it's quite a sizable document, not to put it into pages as opposed to the content, but we went from a 120-page document to, I think, 370, 380. It's very substantial. There's a lot more analysis in this than the last one, and it very much took all that effort to get to where we are, and it's a very complete and thorough housing element document. I wish it could focus a little bit more on the available properties and how it fits into the different income categories, but we had to check all the boxes that the state wanted to see on the analysis.
Very good, thank you. I just wanted to make sure folks weren't conflating, hey, we're gonna pay for this with grant money, if that wasn't the case, and it seems like it's not, so thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that. Obviously, everyone knows that we're surrounded largely by unincorporated county oversight, or overseen areas, right? Our big struggle is we have zero control, but a lot of the residual impact, whether it's for public safety or even these things, and there's certain areas in the county that are tied into the same sewer system, if I'm not mistaken, that is operated by the city. We're obviously splitting costs to some extent with the county, but we have no control. And do you know if the county's already adopted something like this along with part of their housing element update?
I
or their
don't
general
believe
plan
anybody
update?
in Kern County has adopted a plan like this.
Okay.
It's 1 or 2 cities per county across the state is what I'm figuring at the moment.
I appreciate that. If you would do us, at least for me, and if anyone doesn't agree, then we can table it. But would you mind keeping an eye on that for us and
Yes.
maybe giving us a report on what the county does as compared to what we do to make sure they're not flying off the hinges and they're going to overload our infrastructure or offer something that's not desirable by us, and then we can do some advocacy on the other end of that discussion.
For sure, yeah. Like I mentioned, utilizing the Economic Development Committee as a review committee. I'll report back, utilize what Precision's aware of even further up the valley, just so you know what's going on here. And if there's some statewide stats, I'll definitely share it with the group.
Perfect, thank you, Mark. Now, you did mention the housing element. I think we had a meeting roughly a month and a half, 45 to 60 days ago.
They were both in the end of March.
Okay, that's one.
Yeah.
So it was roughly 75 or so.
Yeah.
I was able to go to the last one, and I think it's very productive, again, to hear this. But what folks often get misconstrued is exactly this issue. You know, the city of Taft is putting it on. The city of Taft is advocating legally for what we can control within the city limits. A lot of the input is from folks who are in the outlying areas. And although we're doing this basically parallel to what the county's doing, we see very little input. And what I feel is very little stakeholder engagement from the county to do these things. And so I would encourage folks, at the very least, I mean, I know we don't have a supervisor right now, reach out to the office, reach out to the chair. If you have a stake or any sort of, I don't know what the best way to put this is, but if you have concerns that lie outside of the city limits of the city of Taft, advocate at the county level. Let us know. We'd be happy to probably kind of meet you in lockstep there and help advocate for those same things. But the biggest struggle is, one, we got to get people to attend those meetings, regardless of whether you're in the city or in the outlying areas, right? Whether you're in Ford City, South Taft, Dustin, Derby Acres, and all those things. Please come, because it's very informative and it's great discussion. Because you might have a discussion about something that we in the city probably should be aware of that may not come up. You might be enlightened as to the difference between the city limits and the county limits of the west side. So I would just encourage folks to come. I know it's not always simple. I know it's not always easy to understand, but we're there to help answer questions, right? Because we're there, even though we don't necessarily represent you as the city council, we represent you as a representative of the west side, and we're there to help advocate for you. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Waldrop, any questions or statements, sir?
No, sir.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Cryer?
Yes, Mayor, I do have a couple of questions. Now, the new housing, or they convert, let's say, a garage or something to have, do they have to require to put solar on their new second home? Is that a requirement?
For ADU, part of the plan, I don't think my staff report got into that much detail, but part of creating that plan will determine what the solar requirement is. I believe under a certain square footage, the unit will not be required to install solar. New single-family homes, like the last phase of Sandy Creek Estates out on Hillard, I believe required at least like 10 panels per house as like a minimum kilowatt threshold of electrical production. And that's held firm in the update to the building code. But with these smaller units, I think there's the larger end of these units, which we may not be introducing as a available plan, but people could build it, would warrant that. But it depends on the size of the home or the residence or the unit.
Okay, another question is, most of the outlying area, like South Taft and other areas, they have a lot of most of them are all septic tanks out there, pretty much?
South Taft's the only one not connected to the city and county sewer areas or sewer lines.
I know Derby Acres and Valley Acres and all that.
They're too far out. They're
Right.
being 5-6 miles
There's no
out.
impact on our system from the.
No, the two systems are the city of Taft, and then the other is the Ford City Taft Heights system, and they converge as they head towards the treatment plant.
Have you seen an uptick on people converting their garages into another room?
Excuse me for saying this, but without a permit, yes.
Yeah, I know.
And when we stop them, they don't come back in with plans. That's more the issue is getting folks to produce plans for what's probably seen as a small project, but every residence or business or whatever, no matter how small or big, it requires plans, structural, so you know what you're doing. You have the professionals doing the work. So we've had folks trying to convert when that came out 6 or so years ago, where it seemed like the state was saying, hey, you can convert any garage, you know? And we were getting some folks that would just jumped on converting garages, and our code enforcement or building inspector had to give them a stop work notice, and I don't think any of them came in to go through the right process.
Well, they did do it, they didn't report it or anything, they were to sell their residence, they would have an issue
Correct.
trying to sell their property. Another question I have, I was getting distracted here on there, excuse me. What's the average cost to get permitting to do a garage, so people know out there to come here, to do it right and legal?
And not to get too far ahead on what square footage plans will eventually adopt, but what I'm looking at is possibly a studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, provides kind of that range, right? So at about 400 square feet on the low end, 750 to 800 square feet on the high end. Let's go with the high end and subtract, see if I could do the math in my head. 800 square foot home, probably total fees on the permitting side would be 3,000 to 3,500. So kind of take the fractional from that on the others, though it's not an exact, the studio is not going to be 50%. It's probably going to be in the high, probably $1,800 to $2,000 for the total permit. It'll be plan check, the permit, electrical fee charges that we charge on it. Because as a reference, the Sandy Creek Estates were probably $6,000 permits for a full-sized home, just on average.
Right. This is information, I'm saying, for out the public and stuff.
Yes.
Because we like to do everything right in our city. A lot of times people try to do it and without getting the right permits. And a lot of times it's your job to make sure they're done properly, so it doesn't cause a health or safety aspect as far as what they do to their homes, like water heaters, ACs, and all that stuff, is done correctly, because you won't have a house catch on fire or earthquake and knocks it over the hot water heater and creates another issue. So your job is to make sure it's done safely, that everybody is done properly. Yes, there's a cost involved in it, but it's a cost that is minimal, but it's for our own good on that. But I appreciate the questions you had. Thank you.
And that was,
Answers.
Excellent point you made. One thing I haven't gone over, because we're not getting into the weeds of this yet, but we are required to publish this on the city website, so on the building department section of the website, probably near the top, so you don't have to scroll far for it, is whatever plans we end up with will be published there. It won't be the full set. You have to pay for it, and you get a copy of the plans, your permit in hand, and all that. But the fees will be published ahead of time as we update our fees like we just passed this evening. That number will be there for the 400, 600, and 800 square foot homes. So they'll know what they're getting into, because they'll still need to get that contractor and all that due diligence that's needed for any kind of construction project. So they'll know the cost from our end, and hopefully that'll help them as they seek out that contractor to handle the project for them.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you very much.
I have one more question. Is there a, for plans for conversion or whatever, is there one that's already made up, a guide already for the structure inside a garage, for instance, or?
Well, if folks want to go down the rabbit hole of being online, just search ADU plans. And I've gone down that rabbit hole a few times online. There's a lot of resources out there. If the three we end up presenting don't work out, you're welcome to go to any of these sites that do a similar thing, where they provide a package plan that would work for California permitting requirements for whatever size, style, or whatever ADU you're looking for to put on your property. So there's a lot of resources out there, almost too many, but it's contractors and developers are all looking for the next project. So I welcome folks to look at those, look at the three that we'll put together and figure out what's best for them, and just have that full set of plans. And the fees will be relatively similar based on the square footage and overall value of the project. So, so reach out or search online, you'll find endless resources for available ADU plans out there.
I have one off a wall deal. So people who have a too small of a lot, but have a nice big swimming pool, they can use a houseboat put on there.
Don't give them ideas.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right, any additional discussion, gentlemen?
Not here.
Mark, thank you very much. Thanks for
Welcome.
responding so quickly to the request, but it was a long way, so thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. I did not read the second part of this, which I'm sure everybody can recite this along with me. Find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in section 15061B3.
I'll make the motion to approve the item as presented.
And I will make the second. So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Yes.
and Mayor Noor.
Yes, and that passes on a 4-0 vote. Thank you all very much. And if I'm not mistaken, that brings the open portion of this meeting to a close. This council will be going into closed section for one item, item A, conference with labor negotiator Lon Boyer, city manager, government code section 54957.6, all units. Thank you all for being a part of this evening's meeting. God bless.